the spirit of reconciliation, the Theatre Thoughts podcast acknowledges the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea and community. We pay our respects to their elders past and present and extend that respect to all traditional custodians of the land on which our episodes are recorded.
I'm crazy and slightly obsessed about rib expansion.
And
so this is kind of like what I do, even like pre-audition, like when I'm waiting. I just like dig my fingers into my ribs, like the front and the back and like underneath. I learned it at school and now I can't stop. Yeah.
So what's it meant to do?
Just to let all those muscles go, the intercostals, so that they really, you know, swing out and then you can have a full breath. And I just feel like if I don't do that.
Yeah.
It's not the same.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
How cool.
So cool.
Yeah, but now
I'll
I'm just
try
stuck
it
on
for
it.
35 millimeter.
Highly recommend.
Yeah. Do it.
Be digging into our ribs backstage.
We go to a Bruce. Like, where's your Bruce for? You're listening to the Theatre Thoughts podcast, your backstage pass to the world of theatre in Australia and beyond. I'm Justin, your guide through the drama, comedy and pure magic of the stage from the heart of Australia to the grandest stages worldwide. Join us here for enlightening conversations, reviews and behind-the-scenes stories from the artists themselves. Subscribe for your regular dose of theatre inspiration and consider supporting us on Patreon for exclusive content. Follow us on Instagram at TheatreThoughtsAUS and TTPod_official and discover even more over on our TikTok, Theatre Thoughts Australia. So join us as we rise the curtain on a brand new episode of the Theatre Thoughts podcast. Welcome everyone to the other part of our little episode where we have Little Triangle Theatre Company coming onto the Theatre Thoughts podcast to talk to us about 35mm, a musical exhibition. So we have two amazing actors joining us today. We have, first of all, a graduate from the Queensland Conservatorium, the Griffith University, who left with a Bachelor of Music Theatre in 2021. Their past credits include the 25th Annual Putnam County Spelling Bee, Brigadoon in Neglected Musicals with Hayes Theatre, and The Gruffalo with CDP. It is Nina Carcione.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on. And then we also have a graduate from the Integrated Musical Theatre Program at the American Musical and Dramatic Academy in New York City, a featured performer in the Columbus Day Parade on the 5th Avenue, which was also broadcast internationally on ABC Live. Her other credits include In the Heights as Nina, West Side Story, and Urinetown for Hayes Theatre Company. It's Leiva.
Thank you so much for having both of us. We're so excited to talk to you today.
I'm excited to talk to you. First of all, In the Heights, was that with Hayes?
No, it wasn't. I've done two productions.
Yeah.
One was when I was young. I did it out in Penrith. And then the other one I did in Pennsylvania when I was living in the States.
Way.
Yeah.
I love In the Heights.
It's such a good musical.
It's great.
Yeah.
That's so good. Well, I guess you're on to talk about 35mm with Little Triangle, but I want to get to that a little bit later. I'd love to know you first. So I'd love to get to know you a little bit more. Yeah. So I guess for those who don't know you, what's the top things to know about both of you? You know, what are the top things to know about, Nina and Kira? It's a bit hard when you talk about yourself, isn't it?
Yes. Where to start?
I love me some op shopping, some
Do
mid-century
you?
furniture.
Nice.
Loving the outdoors at the moment.
Yes.
Beautiful Sydney weather.
Yeah.
What about you, Kira?
Yeah. Look, love theatre, obviously. Very excited to be working on 35mm as well. Like, this is my first time working with Nina, and she's an absolute gem.
Yeah.
You are too.
Yeah. I feel like, lot of theatre, eating food.
Yeah. And you've done a lot of work in New York. How did that come about?
I lived in New Jersey when I was young.
Oh, no way, right.
So I was going to New York quite often and I always had the dream of going back. So, after high school, I really wanted to go to AMDA and made that trip over there. And after that, I ended up studying, after finishing musical theatre, did full-time acting there as well because I did not want to leave.
Yeah.
So, and then COVID brought me back. But
Oh, right. You were there for that long?
yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What a trip.
It was an amazing experience.
Yeah.
It definitely was a great learning experience as well
Yeah.
because New York is aggressive. It's really harsh, but it's such an exciting and there's this beautiful drive and energy from the people, and it's contagious. And and the amount of theatre is incredible.
I love New York so much.
Yeah.
I've only been there a couple of times. I did once for a holiday, and then I did a summer camp over in like
cool.
upstate New York.
Yeah, nice.
So every like second weekend we're going into the city and staying there. And I just love everything about it. I love all the shit things about it, and I love all the great things about it as well. It's just such a city.
Yeah.
You know, such an energy to it.
Yep, 100%.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And Nina as well, with you. So you're Queensland.
I'm from Perth
You're from
originally.
Perth.
Freo girl.
Okay,
If
there you
anyone's out
go.
there from Fremantle, shout out. And then I moved to Sydney for Brent Street when I was 17, away from family, and then spent 3 years in Brisbane for the Queensland Con,
That's
and
so
moved
cool.
back to Sydney last year.
So you've seen all the
I've
country.
seen it all.
You've seen it all.
Yeah, still yet to tackle Melbourne and the other things, but
Don't
I
worry, I've
love
only
Sydney.
been. Melbourne was like I've only been to it like for the first time. I think it was last year.
Yeah, at the moment I'm just loving the theatre in Sydney specifically. I
Yeah.
feel like there's always so much to see, especially when you come from Perth and there's nothing.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah, it's just really inspiring to go out to shows when you can afford it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And see the diverse theatre that we have here.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'd love to ask you our theatre thoughts questions if you'd like to take part in them, obviously.
ready.
Yeah.
So essentially, they're just different questions about theatre that we'll ask. We'll do a one-for-one sort of thing. So ask a question, then one of you can answer, the other one can answer, and then we'll just kind of keep going. All right, we'll start with the first one. What has been your favourite production you've seen recently?
I saw Lady Day last week.
At
the week
Belvoir.
before, at Belvoir.
Yeah.
And it was phenomenal. Zara Newman is incredible. Also, the story was so heartbreaking, and it really was so immersive. You really feel like you're in that time and in that space. It was, great.
Great one.
Yeah.
Nina?
Constellations at STC, which
Okay.
Kira also saw.
Yeah.
That left me like the next week after just like thinking about what if, and that's the main kind of thing that it leaves you with, questioning like the timing of everything, which is ironic because we were
the
talking
story
about that
we were talking about before, yeah.
podcast, and it really sat with me for a long time.
Wow.
Yeah.
I missed that one, but I would just remember seeing everyone talking about it, just saying the most amazing reviews for it.
No set apart from this beautiful, like, how would you describe it? Planetarium kind of.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It was
Really,
looking
like,
up at stars.
otherworldly.
Yeah.
Like watching just a globe with no set around it.
Yeah,
It was
right.
beautiful. It was so simple and just such a testament to the simplistic staging of it. And
Yeah.
it's beautiful.
Stunning. How cool.
Yeah.
Is there a role that you haven't played yet that you'd still like to? Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
so many. Amelie has always been a dream,
Oh, yeah.
theatre role
Yeah.
for me. But to widen that, I just want to be a part of new Aussie work and
Yeah,
be able to
nice.
give voices to what our country has to say and
Would
not
you
put yourself in a box.
Like to originate a role?
100%.
Yeah?
That's the main dream role.
Yeah.
And in recent years, like letting go of that kind of fantasy of the dream role, because it's like so many things out of your control.
Yeah.
And what is in your control is like, what theatre do I want to be a part of
Yeah.
and create? So that's what's exciting me at the
That is
moment.
a
What about
great
you,
answer.
Kira?
I mean, I would love to. This is a play. It's Lungs by Duncan Macmillan. I would love to play the woman and tackle that. I feel like it'd be so challenging. And also similar to Constellations, it really plays with form.
Yeah.
And it's, kind of straight through, and there's no real like setting, location, and set time period. It just fluctuates, and it's beautiful. So that, or like I'd love to play Dawn in Waitress.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's so good.
Yeah, but
Comedy
there's
shops.
a long list. There's a long list.
That
of
was meant
course.
to come a couple of years ago, I think,
Yeah,
Waitress. But I think
yeah.
COVID probably stopped it, I think. But I wouldn't be surprised if it comes,
Hopefully.
in a couple of
Crossings
years.
and
Great
Goes.
show.
Yeah.
So beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have, or name a play or production that's left you speechless?
Seawall of Life I saw in
Where was that?
2019 on Broadway.
Okay.
With Jake Gyllenhaal and Tom Sturridge. And
Wow.
it's two monologues that they've just paired together. I'm not connected in any way, different playwrights, and it's just unbelievable. The staging was so simple. It was just the one actor and the audience, and it really made me realize, like, this is why I do this.
Oh, I love that.
And it was quite the moment, quite the experience for me.
That's so good.
Yeah. What about you, Nina?
Very cool. Mine was also a play at Belvoir in 2019, Things I Know to Be True.
Okay.
And
yeah.
similarly to Constellations, I just remember sitting there and I was in my first year of uni, so very like wide-eyed and wow.
Yeah.
Just like so relatable, seeing an Australian story on stage. Something that's obviously it's been around for a long time, that play, but I had never seen it before and very real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Yeah.
I love those answers.
Yeah.
Do you have a pre-show ritual that you like to do?
I find doing makeup, which obviously you have to do for the job,
Yeah.
but that to me is just so, what's the word? Like heavenly. Like you're just getting into the role, masking up and getting into the character.
Yeah.
I love doing that, but you have to do it for the job. So
Yeah.
it's kind of ideal.
I always
nothing
remember
crazy.
like doing makeup at a show. It's like I become a different person because I have to colour in my eyebrows and normally you can't see them. So I walk out and everyone's
Invisible
just like,
eyebrows.
who are you? What's going on? I can see your face. And it's like, whoa. So the whole makeup thing is like, it's a part of it for sure to get into it.
Recently, I also love a power pose.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. And like in the 5-minute call, just like standing in either like a power pose, something that makes
Nice.
you feel
Nice.
really strong. And
Yeah.
it kind of tricks your brain into, it's a bit of science behind it as well.
Yeah. How
So
cool.
that's fun.
Ah.
What about you?
I'm crazy and slightly obsessed about rib expansion.
Rib
And so this is
expansion.
kind of like what I do, even like pre-audition, like when
Yeah.
I'm waiting. I just like dig my fingers into my ribs, like the front and the back and like underneath. I learned it at school and now I
Really?
can't stop. Yeah.
So
I
what's it meant to do?
just to let all those muscles go, the intercostals,
Yeah.
so that they really, swing out and then you can have a full breath. And I just feel like if I don't do that,
Yeah.
it's not the same.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
How cool.
So cool.
Yeah, but now
I'll
I'm just
try
stuck
it
on
for
it. Yeah,
35 millimeter.
highly recommend.
Yeah. Do it.
We'll be digging into our ribs backstage.
We go to a bruise. Like, where's your bruise for? Which production would you most want to see come to Australia?
Something rotten.
Oh my thank
It's so
God.
underrated. It's
Nobody
amazing.
said that in all the times I've asked that
Really?
question, and that is one of my favorite shows. I've never seen it, but
Okay.
I'm such a Shakespeare nerd.
Yeah.
I've listened to It's a Musical
Yeah.
countless times. Shakespeare's my dream role to play in that musical.
Yeah.
And I sing his songs like whenever I'm in the car just because I go, yeah, no, I can still do it. Yeah, I could do that.
Got it in you.
And it's like my dream role. So thank you so much for
No,
saying
it's
that.
so funny.
Yeah.
And the tap numbers, highly recommend everyone. Yep, Something
Yeah.
Rotten. Or the band's visit. Very different.
yeah, very
on the
different.
Opposite.
Yeah.
But I saw that and
I feel
it
like
was
that would lend itself to a small intimate theatre as well,
Yeah,
like
definitely.
Bella or Hayes.
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Beautiful.
Hayes, definitely.
yeah. Stunning music.
Yeah. So good.
I want to see someone do Hadestown. I know that's a very
Yes.
popular
Yes.
answer
No, it's
lately,
great.
but really want to see that.
Yeah.
And just more funding for Aussie work on a
Yes.
commercial
Yeah.
scale where they can have more of a life than just one season at, a more intimate theatre.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, definitely.
bring that work to the country,
Mm.
to places like Perth and
Yeah.
elsewhere that
Yeah.
don't get those big shows.
I think it's
Yeah.
good because, like, there is some success stories that show what happens if you put funding behind it. And Fangirls is
Yeah.
obviously the most obvious
Yeah.
success story. Like, I mean,
100%.
they're going to London next year with
Ooh.
it, which is just,
Yeah.
like, insane.
Yeah.
So good.
I mean, and Belvoir obviously got behind that. And so that's just pure proof. If you
Yeah.
push something and there's the funding there for it, look what can happen.
Yeah.
Definitely.
You know?
And the
So
rest
it's
of the
great.
world will relate to these very universal stories,
Yeah.
but also we can have a voice
Yes.
outside of our
Yes.
industry.
Well, they're literally using the Australian accents on London, and I remember
Oh,
commenting
great.
when Eve posted. I'm like, thank God you're still keeping the accents because that's
know.
gonna be so good.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
They'll love it.
excellent,
Yeah.
great answers. They
Yeah.
were all awesome. Thank you so much for that. Well, we'll take a quick little ad break, and then we'll talk about 35mm.
Great.
Thank you.
So let's talk about 35mm then, okay? I'm going to be honest, and it's going to sound bad. I know nothing about it because I
Yeah.
thought it was a Little Triangle exclusive. Like they, created it, but I realized that they haven't. So I'd love if you could teach me about what we can
Yeah,
expect.
thing.
Sure. So 35mm was written in like 2012 by Ryan Scott Oliver. His partner, Matthew Murphy, is a photographer. And when he was first starting out, he had a 35mm camera, and he went around New York City taking photos of different things that he saw that inspired him. And Ryan Scott Oliver saw these images and was inspired by each, wrote a story. And they're all kind of standalone.
Yeah.
And that's how 35mm came to be. It's this kind of review song cycle of all these songs. It's a musical exhibition.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Of original musical songs or established songs?
Yeah, original.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Such an expansive style of music that you see in the show as
Oh,
well.
really?
You got some country, some folk, some pop rock,
Oh,
some
wow.
like hymn kind of choral work.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something musical in it for everyone. It's
Yeah.
very cool.
Yeah.
That's great.
Very wacky, wild concepts that the audience will be so excited by what we can explore.
Yeah.
And the question I always like to ask when it comes to staging, works that haven't been staged a heck of a lot is why this one, do you think? Like, why this one and why now?
I think it's such a love letter to artists of the main intermission song in our show. There's no intermission, but we're treating it like it, is Why Must We Tell Them Why? And it's kind of speaking directly to the audience about the artist's experience and that very universal experience. What do you think, Jen?
Yeah, it's what it means to the artist within the story. And I think why now? Well, I feel like the artists are still feeling, they're still trying to find their feet after COVID. And there's also an extreme lack of funding in Australia, in Sydney. I know we're seeing a lot of arts venues, Meraki, not being able to sustain itself. And we need those spaces. But it's that art will still
persevere.
Artists will find a way.
Yeah.
But I think we want other people to see why it's so beautiful, why it's so important to the entire community.
For sure.
And I think that show really says that.
Well, and you guys have persevered as well because you're coming to Flight Path on the 30th of November. Yeah,
Yes.
so you guys have a place to to stage it, and a great venue as well. So I mean, still plenty of room for people to come and see it. More room, to come and see, which is always
more
great.
capacity, which is nice.
Exactly.
Yeah. Get your tickets.
How have rehearsals been? So you guys were at rehearsals today.
Yes.
So what have the rehearsals been like so far?
The music is wildly complex.
It's challenging.
And
Really? Wow.
it's
Okay.
the hardest material I've ever touched.
Me too.
In my
Me
training.
too.
And
The harmonies
the
are...
harmonies are amazing. And so very bravely led by Jeremy as our MD, and we've been working through that. I feel really privileged to be a part of a production where we're creating it from scratch, which is why independent theatre is so cool. We are kind of re-establishing these characters. It was originally meant for a cast of 5. There's 9 of us.
Oh, lovely.
So being able to change the key of a song if that doesn't fit that performer's voice type, that's just so liberating. And it speaks to I don't want to be put in a box. I want to create this track for myself, and it's so freeing. Really cool. Yeah.
That's great.
And Little Triangle is such a beautiful company, and there's a really safe space that's been cultivated for all of us to be super creative and super playful and figure out what these songs mean to us as individuals, but also as a group, and how we can find narratives and character connections within ourselves. And because of the way that the show is, there's no dialogue and there's no arc that way, but we're finding it ourselves, and that's been really cool to explore.
And I think as well with Little Triangle, which was what I was saying to Little Eggs before, was that Little Triangle, is so unique in the shows they choose. Like the first one I saw them do was Edwin Drood, and then lately Blank at the Fringe.
That was
and
so great.
Oh, wasn't it? It was so
Yes.
much fun.
Which night did you go to?
I saw, it was the night that Jane Watts was meant to be on, but she was sick,
I was
unfortunately.
there.
Oh, were you?
Oh my
Oh, there you go.
gosh. Yeah.
Cross paths.
Great.
And that was
Great
such
night.
fun. It was such a fun night. And so professionally done for
Yes.
an improv musical thing. It wasn't the one where they go, make a choice. Ha ha ha, aren't
and
I funny?
laughing at themselves.
Yeah.
There was so much commitment.
Yeah.
And I was so invested in the story
So
by
was
the
I.
end.
It was so
It's
good.
really entertaining. Yeah.
So where was I saying? I lost track. Oh yeah, so Little Triangle taking those risks. And I
Yeah.
think do you think that's part of the appeal of the company?
Yes, I think it's so exciting to see a company taking those risks and not playing it safe, because we know people will want to come and see really not risky theatre but exciting theatre.
Yeah.
Yeah. And,
Yeah.
and work that hasn't really been done that much in Sydney. And something that's exciting and unique and fresh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For those
definitely.
people that are searching for that.
Avant-garde.
Yeah.
Oh God, my uni brain's going off. Oh, God. Is there a favourite song that you guys have so far? Is there a favourite part or something that you sing or a part of a song that you sing?
I love The Party Goes With You.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Originally sung by Lindy Mendez.
Mendez,
But
yeah.
that
Yeah.
was not a proper sentence. Lindsay Mendez.
It's heartbreaking and
Is it?
beautiful.
Oh, wow.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
yes. And Jack
Jack
does an
sings it
amazing job.
gorgeously.
Yes.
Yeah, another example of they've changed the key for Jack, so it
Okay.
has a different arc, but like
Yeah.
it's done so well,
Yeah.
and there's no reason why you can't do that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
For me, as an ensemble, I think I've just missed singing with a group of people who are so skilled at what they do, and that wall of sound. And there's a couple of songs. It actually, in the moment of Why Must We Tell Them Why, there's this really insane harmony at the peak of the song. And the other night when we sung that in this really boomy room in Balmain, like it was just a wall of force. Of, like,
wow.
here we come, world.
Oh, cool.
I would come just for that harmony.
Just so you know, everyone. Just for that one.
Yeah.
How great. Well, that sounds amazing. Now I know a lot more about the production. Thank you. So that sounds great, and can't wait for audiences to come and enjoy it.
Me too.
But before we finish, I'd love to ask you a question I ask everyone on the podcast, and I'd love to see your responses to it. I'd love to know how you think the theatre industry's changed over the years, and how those changes have affected or impacted the work that you do or the work that you take part in.
I think at the end of uni for me, there was a lot more talk about intimacy coordination. And I'm really grateful that that was then a part of my training. So you can go into these spaces, creating a safe space for yourself and for others. And after the Me Too movement and feeling, more safe than what I have felt in past rooms. And I try to bring that in where I can, of like, can I do this? Can I do this?
Yeah.
Don't touch me here, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I feel lucky that that's now a thing.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
I think diversity and a lot more, ethnic diversity. I think it's changing quite slowly, but it's changing, and I think that's incredibly important. I am first generation Australian, Latin American, and I would love to see more Latin American stories portrayed. I mean, I would love for In the Heights to come back.
Yes,
We
please.
just have West Side Story coming, so hopefully we see some Latinas and Latinxes in that production. But I think, that there are slowly more opportunities coming up for people to represent, and also for audiences to feel represented. And I think that also will open up the doors for diverse audiences to come in and enjoy theatre and become part of the community, expand the community, and hopefully then we'll get some more funding and more theatre will pop up and more venues.
Because the demand is there to
Exactly.
their stories be on stage, as opposed to I'm going to go see a chorus line. Or,
Yeah.
we're not saying that that's a bad show.
Yeah.
But like, seeing...
And I think some companies are doing a really great job of trying to put stories on stage that are stories that we don't normally typically see on stage. Like even Belvoir's Jungle in the Sea last year. And that is really beautiful to see, to start seeing people who are having their first time in the theatre, seeing them experience. I'm hoping that they come back.
Yeah. And I think because I've done a lot of these episodes, I'm kind of like chunking them at the moment. And the through line has been that there needs to be the demand. We
Yes,
need to make the demand for theatre so that government's listening and go, oh, maybe we should give them some money. Maybe we should build some theatres. It's like, maybe you should. That'd be great.
Yeah.
And I think it's a thing we should be, striving for.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for that.
Thanks for having us.
But yeah, thank you so much for coming on. I can't wait to come to the production. So it's 30th of November to the 9th of December at Flight Path Theatre. Nina and Kira, I'm so excited to see you in the production as well and really just take part in it.
Can't wait to have you there.
I know, yeah.
So thank you so much.
Thank
you for having us.
And
Have
that's
a great
it.
day.
Have a great day. Bye. A massive thank you to Nina and Kira for joining us as our guests on today's episode. You can catch Little Triangle's production of 35mm, a musical exhibition, from the 30th of November at the Flight Path Theatre in Marrickville. Tickets can be booked at littletriangle.com.au or by following the link in this episode's description. This episode was produced by Echidna Audio. Follow them on Instagram at Echidna Audio for all their audio services. Once again, if you enjoyed our podcast, leave us a review wherever you get your podcasts and head to the link in this episode's description for our Instagram account, TikTok, YouTube, and Patreon. My name's Justin Clark, and I'll see you next time here on the Theatre Thoughts Podcast.
Disney's Aladdin on Broadway is among the longest-running shows in Broadway history. But did you know that it almost never came to be?
We walked out of Seattle thinking, okay, we don't have it. We have a lot of work to do.
But against tremendous odds, in March of 2024, they celebrated 10 years on Broadway.
Disney did a great job because they really took the notes.
Go behind the magic and listen to this never-before-heard story, the magical making of Disney's Aladdin on Broadway. Available everywhere you can get your podcasts.
Can you identify an Elphaba just from her defying gravity war cry?
Can you name every actress in the Wicked to Waitress pipeline?
Or does the phrase witch switch mean anything to you?
Well then,
Good news!
My name's Quincy,
And my name's Kevin.
and we're the hosts of Sentimental Men,
We're here to talk
and maybe scream.
about our favorite women in musical theater, the witches of Wicked. So if spending a Friday night in a no-good deed rabbit hole on YouTube sounds like your idea of a good time, then Sentimental Men is the podcast for you.
And with guests like Jessica Vosk, Lucy Jones, and Stephanie J. Block, chances are we've already got an episode with your favorite Elphaba.
Or Glinda, like Laura Bell Bundy, Brittany Johnson, and Mackenzie Kurtz.
So pause your riff compilations, put down your copy of The Grimmery, and give Sentimental Men a listen.
You can find us on the Broadway Podcast Network or wherever you listen to podcasts.